Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged. Coming up this week, we're going to talk to you about Pixar Pier now that it is open for everyone to see. I had a chance to check it out this past week. We're also going to talk about some of the merchandise I came across while I was out there. That really grabbed my eye. And we're going to introduce a new segment called Attraction Envy. Things the Disneyland folks wish they had from Walt Disney World, and things the Walt Disney World folks wish they had from Disneyland. All that coming up next. From the Bob Marley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the DIS Unplugged. This is the DIS Unplugged, episode 734 for the week of July 2nd, 2018. The DIS Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel. Let the experts at Dreams help you plan every part of your next Disneyland vacation. Their concierge planning services are brought to you at no additional charge. Visit them at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com and start planning your next Disneyland vacation today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Marley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my co-host, Mr. Rhino Clavin.
Hello.
And out in California by our producer, Mr. Tyler Crouch.
Hey, everyone.
And the lovely and talented Miss Katrina Manzoni. Yeah? There she is. Okay.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Hope you're having a good week. This will be going up a little late today, but you already know that because you're seeing it late. But that's only because I just got back from California yesterday and had an amazing week out in Disneyland. My fourth trip now out there this year, and I've got two more planned before the end of July. So loving the amount of time I'm getting to spend out in California. But we're going to get right into it. I want to start off talking about Pixar Pier, which just opened last week officially. And I want to start out by saying that a lot of what I've read online from the Disneyland fans, they are just not a fan of Pixar Pier. And I don't know what they were expecting. Maybe Tyler and Katrina can shed some light on this. I thought it was excellent, and I thought it was a big improvement over Paradise Pier. It makes the park more Disney, in my opinion. But I'll throw it over to Tyler and Katrina. Why do you think there is so much negativity coming back at Pixar Pier right now?
Well, I mean, I think a big part of it has to do with expecting too much, like you said, and just kind of redoing what they already have there. I don't know. I think that when you look at it online, and I think a lot of these people probably have only experienced it looking through videos and photos and whatnot. When you look at it online, it's not quite as exciting to me as if you're actually there in person, because then when you're there, you get to experience.
Sorry, that's hit the wrong button. I'm trying to mute my Apple Watch, and instead I hit the ping my phone button. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I just think that when you're actually there, you get to experience all the details and everything, because they really did pack a little details into every nook and cranny. And when you look at everything, you can see that everything has a new, fresh coat of paint on it. You know, I think a lot of the big problem is change. People just don't like change that much.
Well, I mean, They complained about it when it was Paradise Pier, that it wasn't Disney, that it was a lot of off-the-shelf rides, more or less. They hated it for that, and now Disney goes ahead and changes it, and like they hate it for that too. So it's like, I mean, I understand the idea that, you know, if you're taking this area of the park and you're redoing it, that you want something new, you want something exciting, and this was just an overlay. They kept everything the way it was. They've just changed the theme of certain things. For example, what was California Screamin', the roller coaster is now the Incredicoaster. They didn't really make any major changes to that other than the theme of it and some of the elements as you go through the ride. But Disney said that from the very beginning, what this was going to be. So they, let people know that, no, we're not adding any major new attractions. Obviously, it was only down for, what, 3 months, 3 or 4 months. So it wasn't
about 4 months.
It wasn't exactly, we all knew it wasn't going to be huge. But I thought, as you pointed out, the details that they brought in were really cool. So talk to me about, but I will also say this. There's a lot, there are things that we're not ready yet.
Right.
Bing Bong's, the candy shop. How can you not have that ready? That kind of blew my mind.
I think that's my issue kind of with the announcement. I have that issue with Disney being like, here you go, here's a grand opening of stuff that's not done. And so you're like essentially half the pier because it's missing the Inside Out attraction, and it's it doesn't have Bing Bongs yet, and so it feels like it's incomplete. But they touted this as being like the big opening of it.
But also the carousel. Yeah, which is being rethemed. Yeah. It was Ariel's, and now what's it being rethemed to again?
Jesse's Critter Carousel. Yeah. I think that's what it's called.
Jesse's Critter Carousel.
And that's based off of the Toy Story. Yeah, Jesse from Toy Story.
Right, and so that's not done. Now I understand they're taking Flick's attraction Flick's Flyers from Bugs Land, and they're basically moving that over and retheming it to Inside Out. They're going to call it Emotional Whirlwind. So I kind of understand that not being done. But the carousel and the candy store didn't make any sense to me. But that notwithstanding, I thought it was great.
I think people might have a fear, or not a fear, but it's like how Hollywood Studios has kind of shifted away from being Hollywood Studios, I guess, is that the idea that Disney California Adventure is no longer really about the California lifestyle, or like the things that are.
But that's what they complained about when it first opened. Right, they hated it because it was about the California lifestyle and had nothing to do with Disney. Disney has, billions invested in redoing that park to make it more Disney, and they do that, and then they still complain.
Well, you think they'd be used to it, because for me, I mean, it seems like it's the morphing park. Like, it just is always changing, and I feel like that's okay, because it doesn't have to stay like how Disneyland's got to stay, and it's very specific. Like, here's Adventureland, Tomorrowland, Fantasy, like the California Adventure. It doesn't have those type of constraints to it, so I feel like that's a real great opportunity for it. When they start trying to tear down like Grizzly Peak or something like that, that's when I'll start picketing. But I look forward to experiencing the pier myself. So I don't.
Well, the other highly anticipated opening and addition to California Adventure and Pixar Pier was the Lamplight Lounge, formerly Ariel's Grotto. Right? It was Ariel's Grotto was the name of the restaurant.
Ariel's Grotto was on the bottom.
Was on the bottom, and then the Cove Cafe, or the Cove Bar, excuse me.
Cove Bar.
I get it confused with on the Disney ships, the coffee shop, the Cove Bar, that was up actually on the boardwalk, and they made that all into basically the Lamplight Lounge with drinks and appetizers being served where the Cove Bar used to be up on the boardwalk. And those same things, but the addition of entrees being served downstairs where Ariel's Grotto used to be. Last week, Tyler and Katrina talked about their preview of that and how good it was. So my expectations were high. We're not going to give the full review here. That's going to be coming out in the next few days. But let me tell you what an absolute disaster this place is.
Oh, no.
Absolute disaster. One of the worst dining experiences I've had on Disney property in years. Food, service, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, no.
Absolute disaster. They had some things that were very good, but when I tell you this place, I put this out on Twitter, that it's not ready for prime time. They had no business opening this when they were this unprepared, because this is just about not being ready. And shame on them. This is a complete failure on management's part. with the opening of this.
That's disappointing to hear.
It really was, because I was really looking forward to it. Now the theme, it's kind of like themed around like where animators would hang out. And
well, does the building look done? Did you feel like okay, that's the one thing they got right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, okay.
Absolutely. The theme inside, the internals, the interiors, gorgeous and beautifully done.
Nothing in the guts of it is coming together.
But the thing, theme is important at Disney for restaurants. I won't say that, but it's not why you go.
Yeah.
You go for the food, you go for the service, and on those, for me, on that level, they completely fell down on the job. And the prices are absurd for what they are serving. Absurd.
I don't know. I agree with you in one point, but then Tyler and I have been a couple times after we did it together, and I feel like the service is spotty, but then the food that we've had has actually been pretty good. But I mean, it's kind of like a 50-50, and that shouldn't be the way. It should always be 100% perfect. And so I'm kind of like bummed that you didn't like it, because I was like, oh, it was so good.
Well,
but it is what it. I mean, I want it to be better, and hopefully, I think they just pushed it to open as fast as they could, which they shouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the issues with the build that they had to do, is they had no time to train anybody, because they were building that location all the way up until it was ready to go. I'm not giving them an excuse. That's a part that was definitely part of the issue that they had. But I think the other thing too about the pricing is, like, unfortunately, we're starting to see that these are going to be normal Disney prices at Disneyland. Yeah. Lamplight Lounge is one of the first ones to be this expensive, but we also have seen Splitsville have pretty much the same pricing scheme for the same type of food. And now we also went to River Belle Terrace together, and all those sandwiches were like the same price. And honestly, if I'm going to go to River Belle Terrace or Lamplight Lounge, I'd probably choose Lamplight Lounge with the same pricing scheme. So it's one of those things where it comes off as very expensive right now, but I guarantee you that we're going to start seeing very similar pricing across all the restaurants in Disneyland.
I mentioned this, I mentioned this in the review, and again, I don't want to go too far into it because I want to save it for that review that we have going up. But I had a burger at the Lamplight Lounge, a $22 burger. Now, by contrast, a few days later, in the Hearthstone Lounge in the lobby of the Grand Californian, I had a $20 burger, $2 cheaper. And when I tell you the difference between these two burgers was the difference between eating at McDonald's and eating at a gourmet restaurant.
Really?
For $20, I got a Wagyu beef burger that was big. It was really flavorful. Now, as I've mentioned, I eat on the keto diet, so I don't do carbs. So both of these are served for me the same way. Mm-hmm. The burger I got at Lamplight was literally an eighth of a pound frozen patty with some cheddar cheese on the top, as opposed to this quarter or half pound burger that I got for $2 less at the Hearthstone that was Wagyu beef with a burrata cheese on top.
Wow.
So I don't, and it's not like these locations are millions of miles apart. They're literally walking distance from each other, like everything else at Disneyland. It just kind of drove home for me the quality and the price and the service. I'm sorry, if you're failing that bad, you've really screwed up. And I won't go into any more. I won't go into any more. I know you guys have had much more positive experiences there. The stuff I'm seeing coming back online, hearing a lot of the same things that I've been saying about the service not being good. I think most people are more positive about the food than I am. So I will say that in fairness. But I can only go by the experience I had and what I ate. I was supposed to go back there a second night, and it was so bad. I was like, I'm not going to waste any more time or money while I'm out here eating there. So these are things that are fixable. These are things that can be corrected. But for me, the biggest failure right now at Pixar Pier is absolutely the Lamplight Lounge. Biggest failure of all of them.
That's a shame. That's a shame because the Cove Bar like for me, it was like a must stop and experience place. So it makes me a little sad. I never ate.
Well, the
it.
appetizers were really good. I will say the appetizers we had were really good. So go to the Cove Bar, have the appetizers and the drinks. Just stay the hell away from the damn entrees.
downstairs.
Holy crap! Oh
Yeah, the lobster nachos, that stuff is all still exactly what you would expect it to be,
and just
they even
larger
have
though. I
better
mean,
appetizers.
they kind of increased the size of it, didn't they?
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
well,
made it a little bigger.
excellent.
Yeah.
They raised the price on it, but
Yeah, $2 more again, over and over.
But I also think that a lot of their other appetizers are better than a lot of what Cove Bar had. I mean, Cove Bar had chicken wings and, some sliders, and I never thought that stuff was good. I thought the only thing I would ever want to order there was the lobster nachos. And now I would say, that if you want to go have that Cove Bar experience, you can do it, and you can have better appetizers too. So
Yeah.
I think the main downfall was the entrees, but anyway.
so
We'll save that for the review.
Yeah, we'll save it for the review. Also, some other cool things. They've changed around some of the midway games they have on the boardwalk.
Oh, cool.
And I forgot the name of the. It's one of the ones where you shoot the water pistol and you try and win a race.
Yeah.
Wally's Space Race.
Wally's Space Race. Thank you. And
Oh, cute.
I won. I won an Eve. And Miss Katrina is showing off a Wally doll.
And this is the bigger prize. So there's 2 different levels of prizes depending on how many people are going to be playing. And each game is $4 to play. And so Pete and I, these are like the top prizes. So like 4 to 5 people have to play, or 5 to 6 people have to play this game to get the bigger prizes.
You've got to win.
And then 2 to 3 to get the smaller prize, which is a smaller Wally or a Mo. So, I mean, it's pretty nice for a $4 game, but I mean, for this one, we had to spend $20.
I was just going to say that this was not a $4 win, okay? This was not. I had to go recharge that card again because I was determined, And, you feel like an idiot because you're competing against 6-year-olds. But I was determined to win, and
it was rigged. There was like one where I was like, Pete's going to win. I just know it. And then he lost, and I was like, how is that possible? You're on it the whole time.
Yeah.
You're
kind of at the whim of the of like how fast the water comes out of the guns, I guess, because it's just like sometimes I'm right on the target and I don't win. So, but honestly, I was thinking about it, and you go into Knick Knacks where they have like different plushies and stuff from Pixar, and they have a smaller Wally. Like, granted, it's a little bit higher quality than this one, but that Wally is $16.95. So I don't feel too bad about paying $20 to get this Wally, who's actually bigger and he has the cool little fire extinguisher. So I think it's actually not horrible when you think about buying a plushie in the shop,
Well, I don't know. I think the quality of this is actually really good. Feel that? I mean, it's,
Oh, this feels like
that's a really
straight up,
nice
like,
quality
stuffed animal. Yeah.
This is a nice quality stuffed animal. I love it. Well, stuffed Eve.
Plushie, whatever they call it.
Plushies.
I don't know.
But
You got another little gentleman over here holding a star or something?
yeah.
Yeah.
And what
So
the hell was
this is
this
like
again?
the Luna Starcatcher game.
Oh, right.
And
Because I had no idea who this was.
It's from the short called La Luna. It was in front of Brave if anybody watched it in theaters, but
Steve
this is
Porter.
Bambino, and he's holding a little star.
It does look like Steve Porter.
And I think we should get him a little hat like this and dress him up for Halloween. But it's like a guaranteed win game. So it's like the stars are in like the water, and you catch a star, and there's like a color on the bottom of the star that'll indicate what size prize you win. So when Pete played, he got the big one, which is Bambino, and then when Tyler did it, he got like a smaller prize. So it's like a little moon, and then it has like Pixar Pier on the back.
Oh, that's
which
cute.
is, I think it's kind of cute. You get to choose the kind of star or moon that you want. But again, this is $4 to play, but it's a guaranteed win. So, and then you can upgrade too. If I think you get 2 small ones, you can upgrade to a large one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I actually had a lot of fun doing it. And
How many of these type of games are there?
There's
4, right?
There's 4. So there's the Luna Starcatcher, Heimlich's Candy Corn Toss, which is super hard.
Yeah, that was terrible.
I was so close, but I didn't get it. You have to you get 9 candy corns, and you have to toss them into Heimlich's mouth, and you have to get 3 in to get a prize.
I didn't even get 1.
Hard.
But then again, I
And
throw like a
then-
girl, so, you know.
And the Wally's Space Race, and the last one's Bullseye Stallion Stampede, which is exactly the same. They haven't really rethemed it, and it's exact same prizes as Little Horses. We didn't play that one though. I think we were mainly focused on Wally because that I think had the best prizes.
So you said something about a card that you charge. Is it like
Right.
You go, like,
What you do, it's kind of like when you go to any Disney arcade, you buy a play card that you can charge up with, you know, a certain amount of money. I put $20 on our cards.
Yeah.
And then when you sit down at a game, you swipe.
Okay.
And it takes off, you know, whatever it is. Like it's like, you know, $4 a game.
Yeah, 400 points.
400
game.
points, which is $4.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why they just don't say that. I don't get that.
Yeah.
Like, why does it have to be 100?
It's like, I guess it makes it easier to spend if it's points and not dollars.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, but it was really cool. I loved Pixar Pier with the exception of the fact it was a madhouse. I flew in on last Sunday and went right over, and you could barely move on the pier.
Oh.
I mean, it was jammed. Little bit better the rest of the week, but still really, really, really busy. With everybody going and checking it out, you know, and the standby wait time for a table at Lamplight was like 45 minutes to an hour most of the week, I believe.
You know, and the best part about Lamplight, if you want to sit down at the table for standby, is they do the text message system. So you just give them your number, and then you can go off to the boardwalk, play a couple games, and then they'll text you when your table's ready, and then you have 10 minutes to get back, or you forfeit the table. But at least you don't have to be chained to that area for like an hour and a half, or an hour, or however long it's going to be.
But how long are the waits just to get into the Cove Bar? How long is that line usually?
That doesn't you're chained there. Unfortunately, they don't have a text message system, but on average, we've been seeing about like 30 to 45 minutes. I think a lot of people want to sit downstairs right now just to see all the cool memorabilia. So right now, the upstairs is not that long.
Are they both just called Lamplight Lounge now? Is it just one name, or does upstairs have a different name?
As far as I know, it's just one name.
Okay. I'm just curious. That's why I
Yeah.
thought I'd heard that it's all Lamplight Lounge, but I wasn't sure if you just specify when you go up what you want to do. So it's cool.
They have two
they-
different lines. They have one to the left, and that's for the Cove Bar area, and then they also just have a woman or somebody standing out there with a iPad, and that's the area for Lamplight Lounge, or for the bottom area, I should say.
All right, so
Yeah.
just to wrap up this particular discussion, scale of 1 to 10, Tyler, right now, what do you give Pixar Pier?
Oh, I mean, honestly, I give it probably like an 8 because I don't think it's perfect, and it definitely is not ready for prime time. I mean, we talked about the rides that are missing. There's supposed to be like a little fun-size Zurg out by the Poultry Palace, and he's finally there now, but he wasn't there to begin with. So it's the little things that they just weren't ready to do yet. But I would give it an 8 because I love Incredicoaster. I think Incredicoaster is a huge plus. I think that's a lot better than California Screamin' was. And I just like that everything's a lot more colorful, and you can look around and see all these little details. And to me, it makes it a much more interesting experience than Paradise Pier ever was. So,
Katrina, what about you? 1 to 10.
I kind of want to say 8, but I'm going to go with like a 7.5 because I'm waiting for Bing Bong's candy shop to open up. And like Tyler said, there's a lot of progress that needs to be made. I do like the new retheming of it versus the other retheming. It just makes it pop more because of the color, but I'm going to have to give it a 7.5 until Bing Bong opens.
And I am giving it a 7, mainly because of my experience at Lamplight Lounge and the fact that not everything is done yet. But this has the potential to be a 9. It's got real 9 potential written all over it. So, all right, that's enough of our talk on Pixar Pier. Let's just talk a little bit about merchandise. I'm always on the lookout, especially when I'm out there, for whatever just grabs my eye. And the minute I saw these, I'm like, oh my God, these are so cool. We may have this out here, but I've not seen them. So forgive me, but we were going past Soarin' Over the World, out in California Adventure, and I saw this mug, this Soarin' mug with this great S handle, which is a little awkward to hold, but it just, it's got, Aviator Mickey on the front with the Soarin' logo. And I just thought this was such a cool mug. It's so different with that handle.
You can find it at Russian River Outfitters just across the way from Grizzly Peak across from Soarin' Around the World. Just in case everybody's like wanting to look for it.
Yeah. Well, no, wasn't it also in that store that was directly across from Soarin'?
Yeah, it's in Humphreys.
It's called Russian River Outfitters. Okay. I thought that was the one down further.
The Outfitters. Oh, never mind then. Just kidding.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was also over at Russian River, but we did find this one in Humphreys.
Right, in Humphreys. It's right across from the attraction. Another thing they had that I thought, and this was $23, $22.99 for this, but it was so cool I didn't care. And the other new thing with Disney now is all T-shirts are like $30. This was no exception. This is a Soarin' T-shirt with it looks like you're wearing like an aviator's bomber jacket with Soarin' logos and a Mickey flight pass hanging down off the collar, and then like it looks like the jacket is kind of unzipped. I'll hold this up so you can see it better. Looks like the jacket is unzipped and showing a Soarin' T-shirt just underneath it. I'm like, okay, that's just really cool. I love Soarin'. It's one of my favorite rides. I liked the old one better than the new one, but it's still one of my favorite rides. This was $30, which I think is expensive because it's not like the 28 in Maine material. I mean, it's not bad, but I think
kind of in the middle between like the standard issue.
It's
Disney
a Hanes.
thing.
It's a Hanes T-shirt. But I was just like, oh my God, that's so cool. And again, I don't remember ever seeing these out here. They may have them and I just miss them. But I'm always on Soarin' when I go to Epcot, and I would have...
Well, it's hard because they don't really have a store. They just have that like little... I don't know what you call it, like a little kiosk.
They have
like
a little kiosk
but
area.
I thought they just sold like popcorn and snacks at it. I didn't see Soarin' merch, but maybe it's new. Maybe they've added it since then, but we'll have to check.
See that, and that store is, the store in California Adventures always had Soarin' merch and stuff like that. So I don't know how long this has been there. I'm not saying stuff is necessarily new.
I want to say it's new because when we were walking by, that little display caught my eye, and I haven't seen that little display like that for a while. Usually it's what's that bear? Oh my gosh, I just forgot his name. Smokey the Bear. Oh my gosh. That's usually it's usually him that's always in like for display.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It's a great little shop too. They have all sorts of great little Soarin' merchandise and stuff. So if you're a fan of Soarin', when you're out there, I will check the next time I'm in Epcot to see if any of these exist here. But a lot of times I find stuff out there that we just don't have here. So...
Well, there was the T-shirts we got in the Guardians of the Galaxy gift shop. They're like that type of a shirt where they're the body of the character. And I brought Eli a Captain America one, and I got an Iron Man one. And he has been bugging me to find where the shirts are because he loves how it fits. He loved the quality of it, and everybody always comments on it. But they don't sell them anywhere here. Apparently, they're only out there. So I might.
Interesting.
I know what I'm getting the next time I go out there.
Which is in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so.
All right, so we're going to move on to a new segment we came up with that I'm excited to talk about. We're calling it Attraction Envy. Stuff the Walt Disney World folks wish we had from California, and stuff the California folks wish they had from Walt Disney World. So I'm going to let Katrina start us off. What in Walt Disney World do you wish you had out in Disneyland?
I know there's like two that really like pop into mind. I know Tyler and I have the same ones, but I really want to see the Peter Pan Flights queue. I know it's not like the ride in general. Like I want to keep my ride, but I want your queue because it makes me want to wait in line for Peter Pan. And I would have to say Test Track as well in Epcot. I think we have cars here, Radiator Springs Racers,
which
but
is a
I don't know why.
much better version of that ride.
It is, but I love to design my car, and like Tyler and I try to compete with one another, and then we try to like go together, and then we try to rule the whole vehicle. So he does two, and then I do, like, I try to, like, I don't know, this, like, the, what is it called, efficiency and
Yeah, you
all
try
that
and do
stuff.
like efficiency and capability. I'll try and do like power and responsiveness, the different things like that.
We try to win, us, like, instead of like everybody in the car out of 6 people, I want at least Tyler and I to win all of those rounds. And then like the end is always so fantastic because you just speed around so fast, and I feel like it's faster at Test Track than it is at Radiator Springs Racers because we have the little bumps. But yeah, I want those.
All right, Tyler, what about you?
Well, I mean, the first one that really comes to mind is People Mover. People Mover is like, we used to have it out in Disneyland like years ago, and then they unfortunately dismantled it so they could build that failure of a ride, Rocket Rods, which only lasted like about a year, probably less than that actually. But yeah, People Mover is one of those things that, the line is always going to be 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. Like that's like the longest I've ever seen it. And you just get to relax, especially after a long day of being in the Orlando heat. And just like, you're just like, I need to sit down and be in some shade for a while. And I don't know. I always hope that one day I will get a glimpse of Space Mountain with the lights on in there, So
it's
that's
cool.
just one of those things. Yeah, I've seen video, but I've never got to see it myself. So I would really like to check that out. But People Mover is a big one for me. Another one for me, I don't know. It's a tough choice. I'm gonna go with Spaceship Earth because Spaceship Earth. Yeah, Spaceship Earth is one of those rides. Another one where I can just sit and relax, and the animatronics are, I don't know, I still think they're amazing even years later. And just the storytelling and the lines, thank the Phoenicians and stuff. Like, I'm going to have that in my head for the rest of my life. And I really wish we had something similar to that out here because I love those Omnimover rides. They're just something very relaxing about them.
All right, Rhino, what about you? What is on, what attractions do you envy out at Disneyland?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I was gonna say Guardians of the Galaxy because I like that.
Because that's.
But
you say hello to Rhino. He responds with Guardians of the Galaxy. So
it is one of those where like if you had to put it in Tower of Terror, I do really enjoy like the theming of Tower of Terror. I do think the Guardians of the Galaxy, like the actual attraction there, I enjoy more than the attraction, the actual like the physical moving part of the attraction. So I started to think about it, and I'm like, I don't know that I necessarily want the same thing like that, but one I definitely would love to have seen here was Indiana Jones. Like the I forgot the full name of it. Indiana Jones's Adventure. But it's I don't want to see it replace Dinosaur because I know people say it's the same thing. Like, oh, it's the same type of track. It could be the same track. I don't know. But I would have loved to have seen like a sort of an Indiana Jones adventure themed almost like land or area, to Hollywood Studios where maybe they could keep the show if they wanted to, but also put a ride and maybe like a fun themed like restaurant or kids, some sort of explorer area or something like that. But Indiana Jones is always one of those ones. Every time I do it at Disneyland, it still kind of catches my breath when you take that first turn and enter that room. And the other one that I was really thinking about that I would love to see here is it's just an overlay, is the Haunted Mansion Holiday, because as much as that's just like an overlay to an attraction, I feel like it's a whole new attraction, a whole new story, and it's just so incredible. And I would really love to see, and I've said this about the Halloween party and the Christmas party here, I'd love to see those sort of decorations stretch and that theming for that time of seasons to like stretch further back into the parks out of Main Street. And I think like just kind of seeing that New York mansion maybe with like some snow covering on it or something like that would be really cool because, it's the Louisiana themed one, but here ours is in a cold area, so they could do like outside stuff to it as well. So I just still someday I hope that one would come through.
Well, I thought about that. I thought about putting the Nightmare Before Christmas overlay on my list. But I like the fact that it's just out there. I like the fact that to see it, I have to go out there because I don't ever want it to get too any more similar than it already is. But with that said, I will say, like, my number one thing that I envy that they have that we don't is Storybook Canal riverboats. I love that. It's a simple ride. It's not, you know, anything grand or dramatic, but it is so cool. You kind of get on this riverboat, and there are all these miniature villages from different Disney fairy tales, different Disney stories. So you go past Agrabah, you go past, you know,
Arendelle,
and you know, the Three Little Pigs and all this other. I mean, it's all this really, really cool, and they're all done in miniature, and it's just this like really adorable boat ride that I love, that I try and do every single time I'm out there. So I really envy that they have that.
You know what I love about that ride though too is it's not just like, oh, it's beautiful when you look through there. I just kind of love how it intertwines through other things as well. So it like goes, it feels like that in the Casey Jr. train are kind of interconnected because they, you know, you're on the boat and you see the train go by, but you can also kind of see what's happening in Fantasyland around there. And so I just really love, it feels like you're really kind of moving through the park as opposed to like around the park when you do like the Mark Twain or something like that. So I really like that part of it too. You know? Yeah,
I do too. The other thing, and I realize that I'm breaking what I just said, breaking my own rule about what I just said about Haunted Mansion. I envy their Pirates of the Caribbean attraction so much. One of my favorite attractions, the one in California, is just clearly, it's not, in my opinion, even open to argument. Is so much better than ours. It is longer. It has a better storyline. It is just plain better, and I envy.
Did you do the updated one when you were just there? Yeah,
it was cool. I mean, they have like some things that are really, really cool. That one of them Tyler had to point out to me.
The Skeleton Man.
The Skeleton Man, where you're kind of coming by this area and there's a skeleton like hanging, and as you pass it, it turns from a skeleton into a man.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, and it kind of is that transition point from, you know, you're going through that area where you have all the dead pirates and their, you know, their treasure all around them, where you make that transition from that story, part of the story, into where the pirates are all alive, and you go into the whole thing. It was incredibly well done. Incredibly. Yeah, I missed it the first time, but Tyler pointed
it's a
it
lot
out to
like
me.
that. It's a lot like that effect for anybody who's familiar of the butterfly in Journey into Imagination, for the Figment ride. You know, it's the butterfly has the same type of effect where he just slowly disappears as you go by. It's really cool. It's really well done, like P was saying.
Brilliantly done. The other thing I really envy, I wish that we had, was New Orleans Square. Not an attraction per se, but an area. I would much rather have a New Orleans Square here than I would Liberty Square. I'm sorry, I just saw a news update come across my screen that, I'm like, oh my God, but has nothing to do with this show, so that's where I got distracted. But I would much rather have New Orleans Square than Liberty Square. No?
I don't know. I don't know. I do have this feeling about how, like, for me, Liberty Square, of all the places in the Magic Kingdom, has the least kind of, I don't really think about it as its own space, I guess, because it kind of, for me, it's just that bridge and then it goes out like this. Like, you know, I think of Adventureland and Frontierland and stuff like that, but I just feel like maybe it's because there's nothing in that area that interests me here, but I do love New Orleans Square as well, so it's tough. It's weird.
Imagine a Cafe Orleans where you can get your mint juleps.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I do think about that.
I mean, I think that's part of the problem right there, Rhino. If you're not even considering Liberty Square as anything important, then
I'm not one to kick New England to the curb. You know, I know it's not New England. It's that general, the Northeast.
Colonial Northeast.
Yeah. So it does remind me of home in some ways. So that's why I'm hesitant. That's the only reason I like. But it's pretty silly that I don't do anything there. I only like walking through. Whereas like in New Orleans Square, it's like what you said. I like the Mint Julep. I like all the food locations, and you got Club 33 right up there too. And
yeah, Club 33
like
there. You got some really great stores. I think their Pirates store is much better than ours. They've got that cologne and perfume location that, I mean, it's the same stuff we have like in Epcot in France and in Italy. But for whatever reason, whenever I'm out there, I have to buy a bottle of cologne.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know what it is, but that's become like my thing. So I don't know. I think the stores are better. I think the whole area is just better themed than our Liberty Square is. And I think they have much better dining options.
Yeah. And for me, it brings me close to Walt Disney too, because that was one of the last projects that he worked on, along with Pirates of the Caribbean. And when I'm over at New Orleans, it's just like this is Walt Disney's baby. I mean, of course, all of Disneyland is, but really, New Orleans hits that home for me.
Right. All right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for our show for this week. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you again next week with another episode of the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged. Have a great week.